You feel it, don't you? That heavy, suffocating silence in your prayers. The feeling that your dua is hitting a ceiling of brass and falling back to earth. You've been told Allah is the most merciful, yet your life feels like a sequence of closed doors and unanswered cries. You feel skipped. But what if I told you that what you call anger isn't a punishment at all? What if, according to the greatest master, Ibn Arabi, this divine wrath is actually the most terrifyingly beautiful secret of your existence? Today we stop running. Today we uncover the 7 lessons that explain why the fire you're feeling is actually the only way back to the light. 1. The mirror of the heart. The greatest master, Ibn Arabi, begins his teaching with a truth that is both terrifying and liberating. You have never actually seen the world as it is. You have only seen the world as you are. Imagine a mirror that has been left in a dusty, abandoned room for decades. If you stand before it, you won't see your face. You will see a distorted, gray, and fractured version of yourself. You might even be frightened by the image staring back at you. You might think the image is angry or ugly. But the fault is not in your face. The fault is in the state of the glass. Ibn Arabi teaches that the human heart is exactly like that mirror. It was created to reflect the divine attributes of Allah, His mercy, His light, His peace. However, every time we commit a wrong, every time we succumb to the ego, and every time we obsess over the material world, a black spot of rust forms on the heart. When the heart becomes completely covered in this rust, the light of Allah can no longer reflect clearly. Instead, the light hits the distortions of your own ego and bounces back as Jalal, the divine majesty that feels like heat, like pressure, and like anger. You feel like Allah is skipping you, but in reality, you have built a wall of dust between your soul and the sun. The anger you feel in your life, the constant friction, the lack of blessings, the feeling of being abandoned, is not a punishment sent from a distance. It is the natural consequence of a heart that has forgotten its purpose as a reflector. To change your reality, you do not need to change Allah's mind. You need to polish the mirror. Every astaghfirullah, every moment of sincere presence, and every act of selfless love is like a cloth wiping away the grime. As the rust disappears, the anger dissolves. It doesn't go away because it was never there as a separate entity. It disappears because the mirror is finally clear enough to show you what was always there: infinite, unconditional mercy. If you feel the anger today, do not look at the sky with fear. Look into your own chest and ask, what is covering my mirror? 2. The trap of self-ownership. The second reason we encounter the anger of the divine is through the subtle, dangerous illusion of ownership. Ibn Arabi presents a radical perspective. The root of all spiritual suffering is the belief that you actually possess anything at all. We walk through this world saying, my money, my children, my success, and even my life. We believe we are the masters of our domain, the architects of our destiny, and the owners of our achievements. But Ibn Arabi warns that the moment you claim ownership, you are entering into a silent war with the Creator. In Sufi metaphysics, Allah is the only Al-Malik, the only true king. Everything else is a temporary loan. When you claim ownership, you are essentially trying to steal a divine attribute for yourself. You are making yourself a partner to God without even realizing it. Think of a guest who stays in a beautiful palace. As long as the guest knows they are a guest, they enjoy the food, the bed, and the gardens with gratitude. But the moment that guest begins to move the furniture, lock the doors, and claim the palace belongs to them, they become an intruder. The anger of the host is not an act of cruelty. It is the natural response to a guest who has forgotten their place. When we face divine anger, manifested as sudden loss, broken plans, or the feeling that our efforts are bearing no fruit, it is often a divine intervention designed to break our grip on the world. It is Allah shaking the palace to remind the guest that they do not own the walls. Ibn Arabi teaches that anger is the friction created when your ego resists the truth of your own helplessness. We feel skipped or punished because we are trying to control a universe that we did not create. We are like a drop of water trying to tell the ocean which way to flow. To move from the state of anger to the state of pleasure, you must practice the art of faqr, or spiritual poverty. This does not mean giving up your wealth. It means giving up the idea that the wealth belongs to you. It means looking at your hands and realizing that even the strength in your fingers is a gift being renewed every single millisecond. The secret to dissolving this anger is simple: surrender. When you stop claiming to be the master, you are finally allowed to be the guest. And for the guest, the king provides everything. 3. The danger of formalism. The third lesson from Ibn Arabi concerns the spiritless shell. He observes that many seekers fall into a trap that feels like piety, but is actually a profound form of negligence. This is the danger of formalism, performing the outer rituals of faith while the inner reality is completely absent. Ibn Arabi suggests that the anger of Allah is often felt when there is a divorce between the body and the soul. When you stand for prayer, your body is facing the Qibla, but where is your heart facing? If your forehead is on the ground while your mind is calculating your bank balance, or your tongue is reciting the Quran while your heart is harboring envy for a neighbor, you are offering a dead sacrifice. Think of it like this: if a friend speaks to you, but you realize they are merely reading from a script while looking at their phone, you feel insulted. Not because the words were wrong, but because the presence was missing. Ibn Arabi teaches that Allah does not look at the quantity of your prostrations, but at the quality of your presence, hudur, within them. The secret reason many feel their spiritual life is stagnant or skipped is that they have turned their relationship with the divine into a transaction. They think, I have prayed 5 times, so why is my life still hard? They treat Allah like a vending machine rather than a beloved. Ibn Arabi warns that anger is the natural result of this hypocrisy of the soul. It is the friction that occurs when the outer man pretends to be a servant, but the inner man remains a rebel. This state of being skipped is actually a mercy. It is a spiritual blockage designed to make you realize that your rituals have become hollow. In the Sufi path, the anger is removed the moment you stop performing religion and start living it. Ibn Arabi challenges us to bring the heart into alignment with the limbs. He teaches that a single breath taken in total awareness of God is more powerful than 1,000 nights of prayer done in heedlessness. To escape this trap, you must stop focusing on the how many and start focusing on the who. When the heart finally joins the body in the act of surrender, the shell of formalism breaks, and the sweetness of the divine presence finally flows back in. 4. The veils of desire. In the deep, luminous ocean of Ibn Arabi's metaphysics, there is a concept that strikes at the very core of why we feel skipped by the divine: the veils. Ibn Arabi teaches that Allah is never truly hidden from us. He is closer to us than our jugular vein. He is the light of the heavens and the earth. So, if God is everywhere and closer than our own breath, why do we feel so alone? Why do we feel like He is angry, distant, or silent? The answer is not that Allah has moved away. The answer is that we have constructed veils of desire that block the light from reaching our spiritual eyes. The architecture of the veil. According to the greatest master, every time you prioritize a temporary worldly desire over an eternal divine truth, you are not just making a choice, you are weaving a thread into a veil. These desires are not just the big sins that society condemns. They are often the subtle, invisible cravings of the ego, the hunger for validation, the obsession with being right, the fear of losing status, and the desperate clinging to things to provide us with a sense of security. Imagine you are in a room flooded with sunlight, but you have draped 7 layers of thick, black velvet over the windows. You sit in the dark, shivering and terrified, crying out, "Why has the sun abandoned me? Why is the sun angry at me?" The anger you feel is the coldness of the darkness. But the sun isn't angry, The sun is doing what the sun does. It is shining with total intensity. The anger is simply the name we give to the state of being self-blinded. You are experiencing the Jalal, majesty of the light, as a shadow, because you refuse to open the curtain. The idol of the self. Ibn Arabi's most gripping insight is that the most dangerous veil is not the world itself, but the self, nafs. He argues that we have created a God out of our own expectations. We want a God who serves our desires, who follows our timeline, and who validates our ego. When life doesn't go according to our plan, we feel the anger of the divine. But Ibn Arabi whispers a haunting truth. It is not God who is angry at you, it is your ego that is angry at God, because the ego cannot control the divine decree, qadr. It feels attacked. It interprets the obstacles in your life as wrath. You feel skipped because you are looking for God in the fulfillment of your desires. But God is often found in the breaking of those very desires, the fire of separation. In the Sufi tradition, anger is often described as a fire. Ibn Arabi explains that this fire is nothing other than the heat of separation. When you value a temporary object, a person, a job, a reputation, more than the source of all objects, you are tying your soul to something that is destined to perish. When that object eventually leaves or fails you, your soul feels a searing pain. We call this pain divine punishment, but Ibn Arabi invites us to see it differently. This pain is the friction of the soul trying to tear itself away from a veil. The anger is actually the mercy of the divine burning away the attachments that are keeping you prisoner, breaking the veil. How do we stop the anger? How do we stop being skipped? Ibn Arabi teaches that we must practice zuhd, not necessarily by leaving the world, but by making sure the world does not live inside our hearts. You can own the world, but you must not let the world own you. Every time you say no to a destructive impulse, every time you choose silence over an arrogant argument, and every time you give for the sake of giving without needing a thank you, you are tearing a hole in the veil. As the veils thin, the temperature of your life changes. The fire of anger cools into the light of presence. You begin to realize that you were never being skipped. You were being hollowed out so that you could finally hold the divine light. The secret reason is this: Allah's anger is the pressure He applies to the veils of your heart until they finally burst, allowing you to see that there was never anything in the universe worth desiring except Him. Stop chasing the shadows on the veil, and the sun will no longer feel like a fire. 5. The mystery of the Jalal, the divine majesty. In this 5th lesson, Ibn Arabi takes us into the darkest part of the soul's journey to show us a light that most people are too terrified to see. To understand why you feel skipped, and why it feels as though the anger of the divine is heavy upon your life, you must understand the two faces of God: Jamal, beauty, and Jalal, majesty. Most of us want a relationship only with the beauty. We want the Jamal, the ease, the comfort, the soft whispers of mercy, and the effortless flow of blessings. But Ibn Arabi warns that a soul that only knows beauty is a soul that remains a child. To grow, to wake up, and to truly see, the soul must encounter the Jalal, the anger as a divine shock. What we call anger is actually the manifestation of the Jalal. It is the side of the divine that is overwhelming, crushing, and terrifyingly vast. It is the storm, the earthquake, and the fire. Ibn Arabi teaches that when you are in a state of ghafla, heedlessness, when you are sleepwalking through your life, chasing shadows, and forgetting your divine origin, the mercy of Allah takes the form of anger. Why? Because a soft whisper cannot wake a man in a deep coma. Only a shock can bring him back to life. Think of the anger you are feeling, the doors closing in your face, the sudden loss of what you loved, the internal feeling of being skipped or abandoned, not as a strike from an enemy, but as a divine shock. It is the hand of the Creator grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you out of a dream that was about to become a nightmare. Ibn Arabi invites us to a staggering realization. The anger of Allah is simply His mercy wearing a mask of majesty. He loves you too much to let you be happy in a lie. If He must break your heart to save your soul, He will break it. And in that breaking, the anger is the most intense form of love you will ever experience. The alchemy of the soul. Ibn Arabi uses the metaphor of the blacksmith. If a piece of iron wants to become a sword, it cannot simply sit in a cool garden. It must be thrown into the heart of the furnace. It must be beaten with a heavy hammer. It must be plunged into ice-cold water. If the iron had a voice, it would scream, "Why is the blacksmith so angry at me? Why is he punishing me with fire and hammers?" But the blacksmith isn't angry. He is focused. He is intentional. He sees the sword within the iron, and he knows that only the anger of the fire can burn away the impurities. Only the majesty of the hammer can shape the soul into something that can hold a divine edge. You feel skipped because you are currently in the furnace. You feel the anger because the hammer is falling. But Ibn Arabi whispers to us across the centuries, do not fear the fire. The fire is not there to consume you. It is there to consume everything that is not you. The secret of the Jalal, the secret reason behind this state, is that the Jalal strips away your false dependencies. When things are easy, Jamal, we tend to rely on our own cleverness, our wealth, and our friends. But when the Jalal strikes, when the anger manifests, all those false gods crumble. In that moment of total devastation, when you realize that no one can help you but Him, you finally reach the state of ikhlas, sincerity. You cry out from the depths of your being, not with a rehearsed prayer, but with a raw, bleeding heart. Ibn Arabi teaches that Allah loves that raw cry more than 1,000 years of comfortable worship. He brings the anger into your life to force that cry out of you, because that cry is the only thing powerful enough to shatter the walls of your ego. The turning point, the anger, only lasts as long as the resistance. The moment you stop fighting the hammer, the moment you realize that the blacksmith is actually your greatest lover, the anger transforms. You begin to see that the Jalal and the Jamal are two sides of the same coin. You realize that the storm was actually blowing you toward the harbor. Ibn Arabi's lesson is clear. If you want the anger to stop, you must stop running from it. Stand still in the center of the fire. Surrender your will to the divine will, and you will find that the center of the fire is actually the coolest, most peaceful place in the universe. The hidden truth is this: Allah is never more present with you than when it feels like He is angry. He is not skipping you. He is refining you. 6. Breaking the idols of the mind. In this 6th revelation, Ibn Arabi confronts us with a mirror that reveals our most secret sin: intellectual arrogance. He teaches that divine anger is often the result of us trying to cage the infinite within the bars of our own limited logic. We feel skipped or punished because we have created an idol, not of stone or wood, but an idol made of our own expectations and concepts of how God should behave. The God of your own making. Ibn Arabi presents a terrifyingly sharp insight. Most people do not worship Allah. They worship a version of Allah that they have designed to suit their own comfort. We want a God who rewards us when we think we deserve it, who punishes our enemies exactly when we are angry, and who follows the moral blueprints we have drawn. When the reality of life contradicts our design, when the righteous suffer and the wicked seem to prosper, or when our sincere prayers go unanswered, we feel a deep sense of betrayal. We say, Allah is angry at me, or Allah has forgotten me. But Ibn Arabi tells us that the anger we feel is actually the crashing down of our own mental idols. Allah is angry at your false concepts. He is shattering the small, limited God you have built in your mind so that you can finally encounter the al-Haq, the absolute truth. The anger is the destruction of the illusion. The crime of why. We often live in a state of constant why. Why did I lose my job? Why did this person leave me? Why is there suffering in the world? In the philosophy of Ibn Arabi, every why is a hidden protest against the divine decree, qadr. It is a subtle claim that we know better than the Creator. It is the ego sitting on the throne of judgment, claiming that the universe is wrong. This is the peak of spiritual arrogance. Ibn Arabi warns that when you live in opposition to reality, you are living in a state of friction. This friction feels like a burning fire in the soul, a sense of being out of sync with the divine will. We interpret this friction as anger, but God is not emotional. He is simply reality. If you try to walk against a hurricane, you will feel the anger of the wind. The wind isn't angry. You are simply walking in the wrong direction. The secret of contentment, Rida, to escape the anger. Ibn Arabi teaches the station of Rida, contentment. This is not a passive, lazy acceptance. It is a gripping, active realization that every single moment is exactly as it must be. He teaches that every event is a word being spoken by Allah. If you get angry at the event, you are getting angry at the speaker. If you feel skipped by the event, you are essentially saying that the speaker made a mistake. Ibn Arabi's lesson is a call to total intellectual surrender. He asks, who are you to judge the weaver while he is still at the loom? You see a single dark thread and you call it anger, but the weaver sees the entire tapestry, and he knows that without that dark thread, the beauty of the golden thread would never be visible. The death of the manager. You feel skipped because you are trying to manage your relationship with Allah through your intellect. You are trying to figure him out. You are trying to predict him. You are trying to bargain with him. Ibn Arabi's wisdom is a hammer that breaks this manager. He tells us that the only way to find peace is to stop being the judge of your life and start being the witness of it. The moment you stop saying, this shouldn't be happening, and start saying, Allah has decreed this, and there is a secret mercy in it that my mind cannot see, the anger vanishes instantly. The hidden truth of Lesson 6 is that the anger was never coming from the sky. It was coming from the war between your expectations and His reality. When you break the idols of your mind and accept the absolute sovereignty of His will, you find that the anger was actually a doorway into a state of peace that the world can never take away. Stop trying to understand the King and start trusting His heart. Only then will you stop being skipped and start being seen. 7. The return to the breath of mercy. In this final, crowning lesson, Ibn Arabi brings us to the most staggering secret of all, a truth so profound that it has the power to instantly dissolve every shadow of anger that has ever haunted your soul. To understand this, you must understand the concept of nafas ar-Rahman, or the breath of the merciful. Ibn Arabi teaches that the entire universe and every moment within it is nothing more than Allah breathing out. Just as your own breath sustains your life, the divine breath sustains the existence of every atom. And here is the hidden truth that will change your life. The substance of that breath is pure, unadulterated mercy. The primacy of mercy. We often live in fear, thinking that mercy and anger are two equal forces fighting for control over our lives. We think, today I am under mercy, but tomorrow I might fall under anger. But the greatest master shatters this duality. He reminds us of the divine hadith. My mercy precedes my wrath. Ibn Arabi interprets this with mathematical precision. If mercy precedes wrath, it means mercy is the foundation, the origin, and the final destination. Anger is merely a temporary accident or a passing cloud. Mercy is the sky itself. You feel skipped because you have mistaken the cloud for the sky. You have focused so intensely on the temporary anger, the hardship, the silence, the pain, that you have forgotten that the very air in your lungs is a gift of mercy. Even the heartbeat that allows you to feel skipped is being granted to you by the one you think is angry at you. The anger as a call to return. If mercy is everything, then what is anger? Ibn Arabi gives us a gripping definition. Anger is the divine pull. Imagine a child running toward a cliff. The father doesn't whisper a gentle poem. He screams with a voice of thunder. He might even tackle the child to the ground, causing a bruise. In that moment, the child feels the anger and the pain of the father. But was it anger? Or was it the most intense form of protection possible? Ibn Arabi teaches that every anger you experience is Allah tackling you before you hit the cliff. He is pulling you back from the abyss of your own ego, from the fire of your own desires, and from the loneliness of self-worship. You feel skipped by the world because Allah wants you to be found by Him. He is closing the doors of the creation so that the door of the Creator is the only one left standing open. The final secret, Tawbah, the turning. How do you activate this final lesson? How do you move from the anger back into the breath of mercy? It is through the act of Tawbah. In the eyes of Ibn Arabi, Tawbah is not just saying I'm sorry for a list of sins. Tawbah literally means the return. It is the moment you stop running away and simply turn around. The moment you turn, you realize a shocking truth. The mercy was never gone. It was waiting behind you the entire time. You were the one with your back to the sun, complaining about the shadow you were casting. The anger was simply the name of the shadow. The second you turn toward the light, the shadow vanishes as if it never existed. The end of the search. Ibn Arabi's seventh lesson is a call to rest. He wants you to realize that you cannot be skipped by a God who is the very essence of your existence. You cannot be lost when the one you seek is the one providing the strength for the search. The secret reason Allah gets angry is to remind you that nothing else in this universe can satisfy you. He makes everything else angry or bitter or silent so that you will finally taste the sweetness of Him. The conclusion of the Master: do not look at your sins and see a reason for Allah to hate you. Look at your sins and see a reason for you to need His mercy. The anger was never a wall. It was a signpost pointing you home. Stop running. Breathe in the Nafas al-Rahman. You are not being skipped. You are being invited into the deepest intimacy a soul can ever know. We began this journey with a terrifying thought: Allah is angry at me. We began with the cold, hollow fear of being skipped by the divine. But through the eyes of Ibn Arabi, we have uncovered a secret that the ego is too small to understand. The anger was never a wall meant to shut you out. It was a doorway meant to call you in. That heat you felt in your soul, that wasn't a fire designed to consume you. It was the heat of a love so intense that it refused to let you stay a prisoner of your own illusions. It was the divine hand grabbing you by the shoulders, shaking you awake before you drifted too far into the dream of this world. If you are hearing these words right now, you haven't been skipped. The fact that your heart is even searching for this truth is the ultimate proof that the breath of mercy is already reaching for you. The king has not forgotten the guest. He is simply waiting for the guest to stop pretending they own the palace. Do not leave this video and go back to the rust. Take one of these 7 lessons, just one, and use it as a cloth to polish your heart today. When you feel the friction, when you feel the anger, do not run away. Stand still, breathe, and remember that the sun is only burning you because you have your back to it. Turn around. The mercy has been waiting for you since the beginning of time. If this deep dive into the wisdom of the greatest master shifted something within your soul, join us. Subscribe to this journey and let's walk beyond the veil together. Comment Araba below to claim your return to the light. Keep the mirror clean. Peace be upon you.